can applaud. Next, we have Senator Elvis Potter of Illinois. Senator Matt Diaz of New York. Mayor Alexis Alvarez of San Francisco. Carter Rhodes. And last but not least, Representative Rachel Ray of New York. Okay, so audience, you are allowed to applaud and you are allowed to react. However, we ask that you try to keep it
Senator Rachel Ray. I'm from New York and am the chairperson of the New Democratic Coalition. I'm extremely excited to be here at the debate today, and good luck to all my fellow candidates, and thank you for having me.
Hello everyone, my name is Carter Rhodes. You may know me from my show, The Weekly Show. I first wanted to thank Mr. Rotolo and Syracuse University for inviting us here to have this primary debate. I look forward to a spirited discussion about all the issues with all of my well-respected colleagues.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Mayor Alexis Alvarez from San Francisco. Thrilled to be here at Syracuse today. I just want to wish the best of luck to my fellow candidates, and I look forward to a lively political discourse that tackles some of the issues that matter to Mercia.
My name is Senator Matt Diaz. I'm a senator from this great state of New York. I'm excited and thrilled to be at Syracuse University today. I'm a native of Syracuse, and I understand how important this institution is to our community. Look forward to the debate today. Hopefully we can tackle the issues, and in the end we'll find out who has the best ideas to lead our country in the future.
Hello, Mercia. I'm Albus Potter. I'm a senator from the great state of Illinois, Chicago born and bred. Really glad to be here today and excited to be up here with so many worthy candidates. We're all trying to make Mercia a better place. I'm excited to have a great discourse about Mercia and all the policies and the issues facing us today, and hope we have a great debate.
Hello, Mercia. My name is Bancroft Countryman, and I am a senator from Virginia. And I'm proud to be here on the campus of Syracuse University for this debate. I would like to thank Professor Rotolo for being our moderator today and say congratulations to all the other candidates standing up here. And I encourage everybody to please tweet in your questions, because ultimately this debate is to help you become more informed about the issues and ourselves. Thank you.
Tonight is aware, unemployment in Mercia remains dangerously high. However, you have not articulated an official plan for job creation, and your website does not list one. So we're wondering if tonight you could begin by sharing your job creation plan and whether or not you think job creation is important, an important issue in this election.
Thank you, Anthony. I think, as you said, job creation is extremely important in this election. Without jobs, without people going to work to be able to help and provide for their families, we don't have a strong Mercia. My plan in order to stimulate jobs within the economy of Mercia, which has been sadly low and very difficult for many Mercians for a long time, is to really stimulate that with the private sector. Just generating jobs through manufacturing is one of the strongest ways that we can create jobs for people and improve the overall quality of life. The manufacturing sector, as well as small businesses, it's very difficult. There's a lot of difficulties for small businesses to create their businesses and get them off the ground in the first place. And my goal is to make that as easy as possible for these small businesses to start their own ventures, employing people within their neighborhood and within their community, so they can strengthen that from the inside. I also believe that we need to start giving larger companies breaks on employing and keeping their jobs over here on Mercian soil. Outsourcing manufacturing jobs has been hurting us for a very long time. We have many cities who no longer are as affluent and as bustling as they used to be. Syracuse being one of them, because so many of the jobs have been sent overseas. I want to bring those jobs home to Mercia and put everybody back to work.
And what you would add?
Well, when we look at the country of Mercia right now, we are seeing a fundamental shift because this country was built upon manufacturing jobs. That's how many of our grandfathers and grandmothers were able to start up their lives and start families here. However, as we move forward, we see that the world is changing. It is no longer just a Mercia providing for everyone else. We have nations such as China and Japan upping their manufacturing production, and therefore we must adapt as a nation. And therefore, I think education, especially through higher education at colleges and universities, is the way to create new jobs in our country. We need to educate the youth of our great country in order to ensure that they can take on higher jobs. We're not necessarily a blue-collar nation anymore. However, there is a great population of that. We are moving more to the white-collar sector, and therefore we must be able to provide jobs. Furthermore, in order to ensure that those jobs exist, we must make it so that larger companies are more enticed to start their companies here in Mercia. We've seen so many companies move overseas to other countries, as Senator Potter mentioned, and therefore we have to make it much more appealing for these countries to start up in Mercia. And the way that I plan on doing that is through tax breaks and tax incentives for these companies.
Thank you, Senator.
Fellow candidates have mentioned outsourcing is a huge problem here in Mercia, and I feel that if we were to give tax incentives to these small businesses and large businesses alike to keep our jobs here in Mercia, it would really fix the situation that we have right now with so many Mercians without jobs. This is really, really, really essential, so that's...
Okay. Articulated somewhat, if you could share it with us today.
Yeah, I'm a little bit shocked to hear that so far my opponents have all talked about giving large and small corporations tax cuts. I don't believe that we can grow our economy or make our government run efficiently in a nation where a company like ExxonMobil pays $15 million in taxes. Not a cent of it goes to our government. It all goes overseas, which is why a lot of these jobs are heading overseas as well. A couple of the other senators have spoken about higher education being a priority, yet they fail to mention vocational schools. When by 2014, it's projected that 45% of our jobs in our job opportunities will be in middle-skilled jobs, which are jobs that require higher than a high school diploma, but less than a 4-year degree. So we need to focus our efforts on filling these middle-skilled jobs, getting people back to work, but you don't do it through cutting taxes.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Rhodes.
Fellow candidates have said about the major problem we're facing with jobs being shipped overseas. I want to switch gears a little bit and talk about our booming tech sector. I'm from San Francisco. We're the innovation capital of the world, and our tech sector is booming. In fact, 20% of our workforce is employed in IT, which I think is a pretty staggering number, and I think because it's so staggering, it's a really good indication of a direction that our country can move. I'm in support of creating tax incentives for companies such as Twitter in my neck of the woods that are looking to create jobs in zones that are designated for development. So I think we need to look at tech, and that'll take us into the future and put us back on top.
San Francisco and the child of immigrant parents. You have advocated strongly for many public services to be provided to immigrants. However, you currently preside over a city that has amassed $1.3 billion in non-voter approved debt. Do you believe that healthcare, education, and other services are rights that should be extended to non-citizens no matter the cost? And if so, how do you propose to handle the cost?
Thank you, Anthony. I do. I firmly believe that those are rights that should be guaranteed to our new Mercians. And I believe that if we have our current amount of undocumented workers in this country needs to be decreased. And so I am presenting a 5-point plan to address that, and that includes increasing access to naturalization forms, etc., so that families and new Mercians can be actual tax-paying individuals in this country. Additionally, I am looking to work to improve access to reunification visas, which will allow families to bring their loved ones from their home countries. From there, now that we'll have this new tax-paying population that will increase revenues for the government, I think it's important to address that those benefits will boost the economy, thereby allowing more opportunities for healthcare benefits, educational opportunities, and basically a better way of life for those new Mercians.
Thank you. Representative, therefore you understand the cost of many of the services that are required for children, education, healthcare, and so on. Do you believe that this is a right to be provided to citizens and non-citizens alike?
I actually don't. And I think that this is a really big problem, that people who come here illegally are getting these benefits that our citizens are already struggling to obtain. And as part of like a job creation situation, I feel like these are jobs that Mercians can have and can hold, and the fact that they're being taken away from us by someone who has not gone through the correct channels to become a citizen is really kind of a disservice to our country. And so while I understand the struggle of this and the understanding that it is very difficult to not have these things awarded to us, there are the legal channels to go through to become a citizen of this country.
Okay. Mr. Rhodes, is healthcare a fundamental?
I firmly believe that healthcare is a fundamental human right. However, I would not, if elected, go in and immediately change the Mercian healthcare policy that was put in by President Obama. I believe that while the legislation is sound in a firm step in the right direction, we need to let it take place. We need to let it take effect. And in order for it to be effective, it needs to be implemented in the right ways. So I believe that the next administration, whether it's mine or hopefully one of my competitors around here, not on the other side of the aisle, who would attempt to strike this down, implements it in a way that will let it achieve its full effect. That will not only, despite the fact that it will in fact spend trillions of dollars, it will save us money in the long term. And the fact that 33 million Mercians who would not have the opportunity to have health care will have health care. I think those are huge goals that need to be achieved, but the policy must be implemented in the right way.
Okay, thank you. Or one of your colleagues not win this election.
Well, I think what Obamacare does is it provides a system of personal responsibility for all Americans. It's saying that you can't be a free rider on the system. You can't not buy insurance and then head to an emergency room. These are very basic American principles of equality and equal opportunity for everybody. The other thing it does is insures Americans who could never, or Mercians who could never be insured, including children and those who have pre-existing conditions. If Obamacare was repealed, we would go back to days of soaring insurance premiums and a lot of people, elderly and children, who would not be insured.
Yeah. Compromise, should you be in office in order to make this legislation something that is widely supported, or do you feel that it is appropriate as it is?
You know, Anthony, nothing is really perfect in anything we make, and we've worked very, very hard on the Obamacare, and I do support the fundamentals and the pieces of it that are in action. However, there are things that can be tweaked. There's options and loopholes within the system which need to be fixed, just like any system that we have as a Mercian and as a government on the national scale. But I think the most important thing is making sure that people who do not have health care are able to have it for a small period of time when they need it. In an emergency, no Mercian should be denied health care in that situation. However, they should have to take responsibility for that, as Senator Diaz was saying. Mercians need to be able to take care of themselves, as well as not loading on the system and waiting for everybody else. In terms of the original question with undocumented workers, I'd like to return to that just because I feel pretty strongly about that we shouldn't have to provide health care for people who aren't part of our country. Yes, in an emergency they should be assisted. However, to go out on a limb and spend billions of dollars of Mercian taxpayer money on people who have been working in the country illegally, I just don't see that as fair to the rest of Mercia.
I see your point, but I think with my plan specifically, if we are able to direct some of that funding back into increasing and easing the access of those new or undocumented workers to become citizens and start paying taxes, if we direct the funds into there, I think the payoff will be a lot greater in the end because we'll have more revenue to deal with and then we can provide health care for all citizens.
I just see it as providing additional incentives for illegal immigrants to enter our country and flood our market with low labor jobs where Mercians already need those jobs. Having those jobs taken up by undocumented workers, this isn't fair. And then creating increased incentives for these undocumented workers to come into our country illegally is not going to help our job care, our economy in the first place, or our healthcare system.